I'm Ethan Taylor, 32, project lead at an architectural firm in Denver, and until a week before my wedding, a man who genuinely believed life was falling into place. I had the career. I had the house. I had the woman. Her name was Caroline, or at least, that's who I thought she was. Beautiful, smart, funny in that quiet, witty way that made you feel like her smile was your private victory. We'd been together for almost 5 years. Everyone said we were the perfect couple. People used words like power duo and goals when they saw us together. We were supposed to be married in 7 days. I came home early that day, not because I suspected anything, but because I wanted to surprise her. We were supposed to fly out on our honeymoon right after the wedding, and I'd planned this romantic little gesture, a travel-themed dinner night, passports for menus, tiny flags in the desserts, stupidly sweet, I know. But I loved her. I was ready to spend the rest of my life being stupidly sweet. But when I walked through the front door, Caroline was already dressed. Not in pajamas. Not in a hoodie. Not in anything resembling the usual lounging-at-home vibe. She stood in the living room in a black cocktail dress. Pearls. Sheer stockings. Black stilettos. The lipstick was just slightly too bold to be subtle. I stopped cold. Everything in the room paused with me. The air didn't move. My heartbeat did. She froze too, but not like someone surprised to see their fiancé home. It was something else, like a kid caught sneaking out of the house. "Caroline?" I asked, stepping in slowly, trying not to let the wave of dread crash over me just yet. "Where are you going?" Her eyes darted. Not to me, to the window. The door. Anywhere but my face. "I didn't expect you to be home this early," she said. Her voice? Tight. Too polite. Too distant. I smiled, weak, confused. "Yeah, well, surprise." She didn't smile back. I took a step closer, leaned in to kiss her cheek, and she flinched. My stomach turned. "Where are you going?" I asked again. My tone hadn't changed yet. I wasn't angry. Just scrambling. "You look beautiful, by the way." She hesitated. "I'm just going to a hotel downtown. Just for the night. To relax." My mouth opened, but nothing came out. "A hotel? Alone?" She bit her lip. "With a friend. It's nothing serious. I need time to think." There it was. That phrase. That good old-fashioned relationship grenade. Time to think? A week before our wedding. She looked down. Said nothing. The voice in my head screamed. "Don't ask. Don't push." But I couldn't stop myself. "Is it a man?" She didn't answer. Not for a long moment. Then she whispered it like a confession wrapped in guilt. "It's not like that. Not like that." Classic. My heart pounded in my ears. I couldn't believe I was here, standing in our living room, asking my almost wife if she was cheating on me. A week before the wedding. With a friend. "What's his name?" I asked, for more ice than fire now. She froze. "Caroline." She swallowed. "Scott. Scott Parker." The name hit me like a punch. Scott Parker. My boss. My boss was the man she was cheating with. I laughed. I don't know why. It just came out, a sharp, bitter bark of disbelief. I almost wanted to applaud the plot twist. "You're sleeping with my boss?" She flinched but didn't deny it. "I didn't mean for it to happen," she said. "He made me feel seen. Like I had control. I just needed to feel equal before we got married." "Equal?" I said. "So you thought blowing up our lives would even be the playing field?" She said nothing. Her eyes just welled up. But there was no fight. No apology. Just the kind of pathetic silence that tastes like pity. That was the moment it ended for me. I don't remember what I said. I think I told her we were done. I think I told her I never wanted to see her again. I think I might have screamed. Or maybe I just walked out. I honestly can't remember. All I know is I ended up sitting on a bench in a park at midnight with the engagement ring in my hand and a part of my soul feeling like it had just been gutted out. The morning after the world fell out from under me, I woke up on my friend Marcus's couch, still in the same clothes, smelling like stale whiskey and heartbreak. He didn't ask questions. Just handed me coffee and let me sit there in silence while ESPN murmured in the background. Eventually, I spoke. "She cheated on me. With Scott." Marcus winced. "Scott Parker?" I nodded. Marcus whistled. "That's next level F*** kid. He's your boss." I muttered. "I'm not going back there." I couldn't. There was no world where I could sit across from that smug, silver-haired bastard in a conference room, pretending we hadn't just slept with the same woman, mine, first. I stared into my coffee like it might explain something. She said she needed to feel equal. Like she didn't have control. Marcus scoffed. "And so she slept with the one person who has control over you professionally? That's not empowerment. That's strategic sabotage." That hit harder than I expected. The next few days blurred together. I didn't call Caroline. She didn't call me. Our families were still in the dark, save the dates on fridges, venue deposits already paid. My mother texted me a dozen times asking what color tie my groomsmen needed. I couldn't bring myself to reply. Finally, on the 4th day, Caroline showed up at Marcus's place. She looked different. Less polished. Pale. Makeup barely applied, hair pulled back into a low bun like she'd given up on appearances. "Ethan," she said. "Can we talk?" Marcus shot me a look. I nodded. We sat outside on the porch. Just the two of us. Two ghosts of what we used to be. She started crying immediately. I don't even know where to begin. Try the part where you slept with my boss a week before our wedding. I didn't mean for it to happen, she said, voice trembling. It was a mistake. It started months ago and I didn't know how to stop. That snapped me out of my daze. Wait, months? She froze. You've been cheating on me for months? I thought I could keep it separate, she said. I thought if I could work through it, I wouldn't have to tell you. I thought I could marry you and it'd just be gone. You were going to marry me with that secret in your back pocket? She nodded, shame pouring out of her. And yet, some twisted part of me still wanted her to say something redeemable. Something that would make the pain sting less. But instead, she said, I broke it off with him. I swear. After that night, I knew. I knew I wanted you. I stood up. Couldn't hear another word. You don't get to pick me because your affair ran out of steam, I said. I'm not the safe landing. I was supposed to be the love of your life. She grabbed my hand, desperate. Please, Ethan. Don't throw us away. I pulled my hand back like it was fire. You already did. I walked inside. Marcus didn't say a word. Just handed me a glass of bourbon and turned the TV up. Later that night, I got a call from work. Blocked number. I let it go to voicemail. It was Scott. He said, Ethan, I know you probably want to kill me. I get it. But you need to know something. Call me back. I didn't. But the next morning, I got a text from my HR department asking to schedule an urgent meeting. And that's when I knew the fallout was just beginning. I didn't sleep the night before the HR meeting. My brain was running a mile a minute, cycling between fury, humiliation, and something colder, calculation. I didn't know what Scott's voicemail meant, but I had a feeling this wasn't just about a shattered engagement anymore. I showed up at the office in the same blazer I'd left at Marcus's a week ago. The receptionist gave me that look, the one that says, oh, everyone's heard. I walked through the hall like a man on trial. The conference room was already full, HR manager, Scott, and someone from legal. Scott looked awful. Pale. Unshaven. Eyes bloodshot. Thanks for coming in, the HR rep said, nervously pushing a pen across the table like it was going to protect her. Scott didn't speak. The HR rep cleared her throat. We received a formal complaint last night. From Caroline. I blinked. A complaint? Against me? No, she said, glancing at Scott. Against Mr. Parker. That turned the room ice cold. Scott leaned forward, face in his hands. She said it wasn't consensual. I stared at him. Excuse me. She said it started consensual, the HR rep interjected quickly, but that it became coercive. That the power dynamic was abused. That she felt pressured into continuing the relationship. I didn't speak. I didn't trust myself to. Scott finally looked up. It wasn't like that. She was into it. I didn't force anything. My stomach churned. Not just from anger, but from the realization that this situation had spiraled beyond betrayal. It was now a PR bomb. She's saying you used your position to manipulate her, I said quietly. She's protecting herself. She's lying, he snapped. She told me she was leaving you. She said she wanted to start over. Then why did she come crawling back to me? I asked. Scott didn't answer. Just looked like a man who'd realized he bet on the wrong horse. HR told me I'd be on temporary paid leave while the investigation continued. I agreed. I wasn't staying a second longer under that roof. When I got back to Marcus's, I sat in the kitchen for hours, just processing. Caroline was playing both sides. She cheated on me, blew up our lives, then turned around and nuked Scott's career to make herself the victim. I wasn't sure if I was more angry or impressed. And then came the real twist. Marcus came home with his phone in hand, looking grim. You need to see this. He handed me the screen. It was a news article. Scott Parker hospitalized after a suspected overdose. Found alone in his apartment. Pills. Empty bottle. No note. I sank into the couch, the room spinning. Caroline hadn't just burned bridges. She'd scorched the earth. The news hit the office before noon. Scott Parker is hospitalized. Unresponsive but stable. That's what the official email said. The gossip was nastier, attempted suicide, maybe worse. And of course, the whispers started about Caroline. By 2 p.m. I got a call from my mother. Ethan, what's going on? Your cousin just texted me about some man from your work. The news is saying your ex-fiancée is involved in some scandal. That was how I found out the tabloids had picked it up. Local Denver drama, front page garbage on a trashy news site, architect's affair ends in tragedy. Was the engagement a cover-up? They used pictures from our engagement party. I holding her hand, both of us laughing. We looked happy. We looked real. I wanted to throw up. That night, I called Caroline. She picked up on the second ring. Ethan? Her voice was small. We need to talk. Now. She agreed to meet. Neutral ground. A cafe near City Park. Middle of the week. Mostly empty. No one to hear the train wreck. She showed up in a hoodie, no makeup, and hand air in a bun. Like she was trying to look harmless. I didn't sit. I stood across the table. You told HR he coerced you. She winced. It's not that simple. You think I'm stupid? She looked around nervously. I didn't know he'd do something to himself. I slammed my hand on the table. The two baristas jumped. She flinched. You destroyed a man's career. He was scum, but he didn't deserve that. I panicked, she whispered. I thought he'd out me. I thought he'd say things that made me look worse than I already do. I needed a way to control the story. And throwing him under the bus was your best move? She stared at the table. I didn't know what else to do. You always know what to do, I said coldly. You just never care who gets hurt. I didn't mean to hurt you, Ethan. I swear. You didn't just hurt me. You nuked my life. My job. My reputation. And now there's a man in a hospital bed who might not wake up. Tears spilled from her eyes. I just wanted it to stop. I leaned in. Then you should have kept your legs closed and your lies straight. I walked out. Back at Marcus's place, I found an envelope waiting on the table. No return address. Inside? A flash drive. Labeled, Truth. I plugged it in. A video file opened. Office security footage. From 3 months ago. Caroline. In Scott's office. She's closing the door, locking it, and kissing him first. No coercion. No power games. Just heat, ambition, and betrayal. Attached was a single text message. Thought you should know the full story. A friend. I must have watched that security footage 10 times in a row. Each time hoping the angle would shift, that maybe I'd see something different. Something to explain it all away. But no. Same scene. Same betrayal. Same look in Caroline's eyes, hungry, calculated, utterly in control. She wasn't a victim. She was an architect of destruction. And for the first time in weeks, I felt something different than grief or rage. I felt clarity. I stayed up until 3 a.m. drafting a statement. Not for the tabloids. Not for revenge. Just for truth. Something I could send to HR, my mother, my friends, anyone who'd been caught in the blast radius of her lies. But before I hit send, I needed answers. Who sent the footage? The flash drive had no label. No fingerprints. The text? From a burner. I tried calling it straight to voicemail, but the message was clear. Someone on the inside wanted me to know the truth. Someone who couldn't speak out loud. Marcus suggested it might have been Jessica, one of the paralegals at our firm. She'd always had a weirdly strong dislike for Scott, not the petty office kind, but like she knew things. I didn't know how to ask without sounding paranoid. Instead, I sent the footage directly to HR. No commentary. Just a subject line, relevant evidence. By noon, they called me back. Mr. Taylor, the HR director, said, voice clipped. We'd like you to come in tomorrow morning. When I arrived, the tone had changed entirely. Legal was present again. But this time, they were all smiles. Like I'd walked in with the winning lottery ticket. We've verified the footage, HR said. We appreciate your transparency. We are now pursuing this as a falsified misconduct claim by Ms. Blake. All disciplinary measures against you are lifted. Full reinstatement. Effective immediately. I didn't even smile. What about her? I asked. She's been placed on administrative leave pending investigation, they replied. Not good enough. After the meeting, I didn't go back to my desk. I walked straight to Scott's hospital room. Yes, I still hated the guy. But I needed to see it with my own eyes. He was awake. Barely. Face hollow. Arms full of IVs. He looked more like a patient in a war zone than the man who'd once stolen my fiancée. You here to gloat? He croaked. No, I said. I'm here because you nearly died. And because this isn't over. He looked confused. I pulled up the video on my phone. Let it play. Watched his eyes widen. Watched the color drain from what was left of his face. She lied, I said. She made you the villain because she couldn't face being one herself. She told me she loved me, he whispered. Said she'd leave you for me. I stared at him. You believed her? He didn't answer. I left without saying goodbye. That night, I went public. I posted a long, detailed explanation on my private social media accounts, friends and family only. I included the timeline, the emotional fallout, the voicemail from Scott, and most importantly, I included stills from the footage. I didn't name her. I didn't have to. Within hours, it spread. Quietly, virally. The people who mattered saw it. Her friends. My friends. Our families. My mother called me in tears, not of shame, but pride. I'm sorry I doubted you, she said. I'm so sorry. Marcus clinked his beer bottle against mine. To survive the unholy dumpster fire. Then, just after midnight, Caroline showed up. She didn't knock. Just stood outside Marcus's place, crying in the rain like some rom-com gone wrong. I opened the door. Didn't invite her in. I saw the post, she said. Please. Can we talk? You already talked, I said. To HR. To Scott. To the entire city of Denver. She stepped forward. I didn't mean for this to happen. That's your favorite line, I snapped. You never mean to. You just do. Everyone hates me now, she whispered. Good. She broke down. There on the porch. In the rain. And for a split second, I felt sorry for her. Then I remembered how close I came to marrying a woman who could smile at me while sleeping with my boss. I shut the door. Locked it. Sat down with Marcus, poured another drink, and finally exhaled. After that night, Caroline disappeared. No texts. No calls. No desperate emails pretending she had amnesia about the last few months. Just radio silence. I half expected some dramatic retaliation, a cease and desist, a sob story on social media, maybe a last-ditch plea to my parents about how I'd twisted the narrative. But instead, nothing. She vanished like a deleted file. Gone. Marcus and I joked she probably fled to some yoga commune in Arizona to reinvent herself as a crystal healer. But part of me knew better. Caroline wasn't one to accept shame. She just didn't know how to fight a war where the receipts were digital and bulletproof. HR followed up a few days later. Official statement: Ms. Blake has voluntarily resigned from her position. The matter is considered closed. Scott surprisingly survived. He checked out of the hospital, left the company quietly, and last I heard, moved to California to start over. No one threw him a party. No farewell card. Just gone. He did text me once. You were right. She played both of us. I'm sorry. I didn't reply. Honestly, I didn't need revenge anymore. I had the truth. I had peace. And for the first time in years, I had space to breathe. I got my job back, but I didn't stay long. Being in that office, those walls where she whispered her lies, where I almost married into a facade, it felt wrong. So I quit. Took the severance. Took a long look at my life. And I started over. I launched my own firm. Small, tight-knit, remote-friendly. No office politics. No hierarchy games. Just good design and good people. It wasn't glamorous. But it was honest. And then came the letter. A real letter. Handwritten. Postmarked from a town in Oregon. Caroline. It was 3 pages long. She didn't ask for forgiveness. She didn't beg. She just unpacked it all. The pressure. The insecurity. The way she'd watched our relationship morph into something that terrified her, not because it was bad, but because it was real. Too real. She said she sabotaged it because deep down she didn't think she deserved it. The last line stuck with me. I loved you, Ethan. But I didn't know how to be loved the way you loved me. I hope you find someone who does. I folded the letter. Burned it in the fireplace. Marcus asked me if I felt better. Not better, I said. Just lighter. And I was. Life didn't snap back to perfect. There were still nights I stared at the ceiling, wondering what might have been if I hadn't come home early that day. Still, days when her name pops into my mind like a splinter. But there was no more ache. Just the echo of a lesson I'll never forget. Some people don't break you because they're evil. They break you because they're broken. You can't rescue someone intent on destroying the very bridge they stand on. It's been almost a year since the day everything blew up. I still get the occasional message from people who heard through mutual friends. Can't believe what she did. You dodged a bullet. You look way happier now. And yeah, maybe I do. But happiness isn't something that just arrives like a package on your porch. It's built. Slowly. Brick by brick. My firm's small, but it's thriving. We just finished designing a trauma recovery center up in Boulder, my favorite project yet. There was something poetic about building a space dedicated to healing while quietly stitching together my own. I still see Marcus every week. We grill, we talk trash, we drink cheap beer like we're in college again. He's the kind of friend you don't realize is gold until life goes dark and he hands you a flashlight. And then there's Ava. She came into my life 6 months ago. No, she's not Caroline. And thank God for that. She's quiet whereas Caroline is loud. Steady where Caroline was stormy. There are no games. No eggshells. Just presence. The first time we talked, I didn't think much of it, just a casual conversation at a coffee shop where I'd gone to review some floor plans. But then we kept running into each other. Bookstore. Gym. Farmer's market. Finally, I asked, "Are you following me?" And she laughed in this completely unself-conscious way that made me want to hear it again. Turns out she's a pediatric therapist. Works with kids who've seen too much. She understands broken things. She doesn't try to fix them. She just holds space for them to heal. Like she did with me. I didn't rush into it. We took it slow. Coffee turned into walks. Walks turned into dinners. Somewhere between weeks 6 and 7, I realized something terrifying. I trusted her. The first time I told her about Caroline, I expected her to recoil. Instead, she said, "You're not responsible for the damage someone else caused. But you are responsible for what you do with the pieces." And damn if that didn't stick. So now here I am. A different man. Not bitter. Not broken. Just real. A guy who stood at the edge of his own ruin and decided not to jump. I haven't heard from Caroline since the letter. I don't need to. Scott's ghosted off into oblivion, probably changing his name and selling real estate in Napa. My parents? Proud. Relieved. My mom even likes Ava, called her a breath of calm air after that tornado. She's not wrong. Sometimes I still wonder, what if I hadn't come home early that day? Would I have married Caroline? Built a life on a lie? Probably. And thank God I didn't. Because now, I know what real love looks like. What it feels like when someone chooses you without condition, without fear, without a script. And it's nothing like the fantasy I thought I wanted. It's better. Hope you enjoyed this story as much as I do. Help this small channel grow by hitting that like button, subscribing, and sharing with your friends. Every bit of support means the world. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.